The New Orleans Saints have just wrapped up a 2026 draft that feels like a massive turning point for this franchise's future. You can feel the energy shifting in the building, and it is a mix of pure excitement and a little bit of heartbreak. As an insider who watches this team every single day, I can tell you that the front office has made a definitive choice about where we are heading. This draft was about one thing only: surrounding our young leader with everything he needs to succeed. Tyler Shough is officially the man the New Orleans Saints are betting the entire house on right now. After starting just 9 games in the NFL, the front office has seen enough to believe he is the true heir to the franchise legacy. To make sure he succeeds, they went out this past weekend and built a wall of talent around him that we haven't seen in years. But while the offense is cheering, a franchise icon like Cam Jordan might be looking at the beginning of the end. The team brought in guys like Anthony Jennings and Tyree Wilson to bolster the defensive line, and these moves send a very loud message about the future of the veteran pass rusher. This draft wasn't just about adding depth, it was about defining a new era. In the first round, the Saints nabbed Jordan Tyson to give the passing game a massive vertical threat. They didn't stop there, adding tight end Oscar Delp in the third and Bryce Lance in the fourth. When you combine those rookies with the recent free agent signings of Travis Etienne and David Edwards, it is clear that the goal is to make this one of the most explosive units in the entire league. This is the third year in a row where the front office has focused on high-impact talent, following the path they started with Talise Fuaga and Kelvin Banks to shore up the offensive line. We also have to look at the defensive side, where Quincy Riley came out as a massive winner. Even though the team looked at early secondary help, they ultimately decided to stick with the talent they have, which gives Riley a clear path to being a primary starter in 2026. However, for guys like Bub Means and Trey Palmer, the room just got a lot smaller. With 3 new receivers coming in through the draft, the competition for those final roster spots is going to be a bloodbath during training camp. The Saints are no longer just trying to compete. They are trying to dominate by leaning into this young core of players. It is a bold strategy that places an incredible amount of pressure on their new quarterback to perform immediately and win games for the whole city of New Orleans. The offensive explosion we are witnessing in the front office's strategy is designed to create a safety net for the young quarterback. By bringing in a top-tier talent like Tyson in the first round, the team is ensuring that the passing game doesn't just rely on 1 or 2 players. We have seen in the past how an offense can stall when the primary targets are taken away, but this new-look roster is built to be versatile and unpredictable. The addition of a physical tight end like Delp provides a crucial middle-of-the-field target that has been missing for quite some time. This allows the offense to control the tempo of the game and keeps opposing defenses on their heels. Think about the impact this has on the locker room morale. When veterans see the organization investing so heavily in weapons, it sends a spark of energy through the entire facility. The players know that the front office is doing everything possible to win now, not just 3 years down the road. This young signal caller is entering a situation that most prospects can only dream of. He has a revamped offensive line anchored by Fuaga and Banks, a star running back in Etienne, and a receiving core that is suddenly deep and dangerous. The what-if factor here is massive. If this young athlete can process the game at a high level and utilize these tools, we are looking at an offense that can rival the best years of the Sean Payton era. The narrative has shifted from can they find a quarterback to how far can this quarterback take them. It is a refreshing change of pace for a fan base that has endured some lean years recently. This strategy also helps the coaching staff, as they can now open up the playbook and try creative schemes that weren't possible with a limited roster. The speed and size added through this draft class mean the Saints can dictate how games are played, rather than just reacting to what the opponent does. It is all about maximizing this window of opportunity, while the core players are still on their rookie contracts and hungry for a championship run this season. This draft strategy translates into very simple and direct consequences for the upcoming season. Primarily, this is about winning more games right now. By surrounding the quarterback with elite weapons, the team is making it much easier for him to stay upright and avoid the big mistakes that often ruin a season. When a quarterback knows he has multiple reliable options on every play, he doesn't feel the need to force the ball into tight windows or take unnecessary risks. This leads to more sustained drives, more points on the scoreboard, and ultimately, more wins in the standings. Another huge benefit involves Chris Olave in his long-term health. We all know how much he has struggled with concussions over the last few years, and a lot of that pressure came from being the only real threat on the field. Now that the defense has to worry about Tyson and Delp, they can't just double-team the star wideout on every single snap. This should reduce the number of hard hits he takes and hopefully extend his career in New Orleans. For the fans, this means watching a team that is actually fun to root for again. We won't have to worry about the offense going 3 and out constantly, because the talent gap between our starters and the opponents has narrowed significantly. On the defensive side, the impact is just as clear. Adding young, hungry pass rushers means the team can stay fresh in the fourth quarter. It might be hard to see a legend like Jordan get fewer snaps, but the reality is that a fresher rotation leads to more sacks and more turnovers. This could be the difference between losing a close game in the final minutes and walking away with a victory. The risk of failure is still there, but it has been mitigated by the sheer volume of talent added to the roster. If the Saints want to get back to the playoffs and make a real run, this was the exact path they needed to take. It is a simple equation. Better players lead to better results, and for the first time in a while, the Saints have a surplus of young talent to deploy for success. We have to look at the two very different paths this season could take based on these draft decisions. In the best-case scenario, the young quarterback thrives with his new targets and leads the Saints back to the top of the NFC South. The transition from the old guard to the new generation happens seamlessly, and the offense becomes a juggernaut that no one wants to face. Imagine the Superdome rocking as these young stars make play after play, proving that the front office was right all along. This would solidify the current leadership and set the team up for a decade of success. But there is a darker side to this gamble that we have to acknowledge. If the rookie weapons struggle to adapt to the speed of the NFL, or if the young quarterback can't handle the pressure of being the franchise savior, this whole plan could crumble. Moving on from a leader like Jordan is a massive risk. His presence in the locker room and his knowledge of the game are things you can't just replace with a draft pick. If the defense loses its identity without his leadership, it won't matter how many points the offense scores. There is a real tension here between the past and the future. We've seen teams try to get younger too quickly and lose the culture that made them successful in the first place. The stakes are incredibly high because the Saints have invested so much draft capital into this specific vision. If it fails, the team could be looking at a total rebuild that lasts for several years. The pressure is on every single person in that building to make sure this works. The fans are loyal, but they also want to see a winner. The contrast between these two outcomes is what makes this upcoming season so fascinating. We are either watching the birth of a new dynasty or a very expensive mistake that will haunt the franchise for a long time. Every single game will be a test of whether this new direction was the right move for the future of the New Orleans Saints franchise and its fans. To put it simply, the New Orleans Saints have officially pushed all their chips to the middle of the table. This 2026 draft was a loud and clear statement that the Tyler Show era has begun, and the team is doing everything in its power to make sure he has the tools to succeed. We are seeing a massive shift in how this team is built, moving away from the veterans of the past and embracing a young, explosive future. It is exciting, but it also means saying some difficult goodbyes to the players who have defined this team for over a decade. The dilemma is real, and the tension in the fan base is palpable. We want to win, but we also value the loyalty and history that players like Cam Jordan bring to the table. Be honest with yourself. Would you trust a young quarterback with these new weapons over the veteran leadership that has held this locker room together? It is a tough question to answer. If you want to stay updated on every move the Saints make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you never miss an insider update for your favorite team.